Last time we tested whether tapping a shaken can of beer keeps it from exploding. The internet said we did it wrong, to which we say, hold my beer. So this time we tried it your way. I'm setting a timer so we can be precise. One respondent said I needed to tap vigorously near the opening and not be such a pansy about it. Others said I should tap gently around the sides to dislodge the carbonic acid. Well, neither of those seemed to help. And notice, the untapped control actually rested several seconds longer than the tapped beer. So it bears asking, what's actually happening inside the can? We poured the beer into a clear plastic bottle so we could see for ourselves. And now I'm going to put a pressure cap on the bottle, a pressure cap with a one-way valve so we can repressurize the beer. I'm going to pressurize it up to about 35 pounds per square inch, a typical beer-like pressure. Now let's shake it up, just like we did with a can of beer. I'm going to set a timer again so we can measure rest times accurately. And now I'm going to start tapping on the container, on the sides and on the top, and as you can see, it has no effect on the bubbles. Now watch what happens when I crack the cap. The bubbles bloom up. That's because I've released the headspace pressure, and now every one of those bubbles in the foam suddenly expands in volume because the headspace pressure is no longer keeping them compressed. And watch what happens when I repressurize the bottle. The reverse happens. By adding pressure to the headspace, I compress all the little bubbles in the foam, and they go back down to their original volume. I crack the cap again, and the bubbles bloom again, but largely stay intact. Even with the tapping and the pressurizing, the bubbles are very persistent in beer. Beer contains proteins that help stabilize the thin liquid film surrounding the bubbles. Once all those bubbles form, they can be surprisingly persistent, which is part of what makes a shaken beer such a mess. Note the timer in the background at over 3 minutes. Some respondents complained that the results would be different with soda. Well, I happen to have a bottle of Safeway Signature Select Diet Wild Cherry in my fridge, no judgments, so I decided to try that too. I shook it up hard and started the timer. Note that the bubbles died down faster because soda doesn't have the proteinaceous compounds that beer has or other surfactants that help stabilize the bubbles. And I tapped this vigorously as I did with the beer can, and I'm not even sure if I need to do this because the bubbles have already largely dissipated. Now I'm going to crack the cap, and as you can see, the bloom is much less vigorous because there's no foam on top. So yes, soda is different than beer, and we'll explore this in a later video.